What is up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia and today I am going to be doing part 2 of I am looking for a good primer, and today's video is going to be dedicated for people with more combination to oily skin. But before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the upcoming episodes of this series, and let's get rolling. So I want to start with the primers that I do not have in my collection and chose not to buy just for the sole purpose of filming this video. I just thought that would be a little bit wasteful, so I went against it. But moving on. So the first primer I want to talk about is one of the most popular ones that I'm going to talk about today, just because it's a very new launch and I'm sure a lot of you girls or guys know what I'm talking about. I am talking about the Fenty Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Primer. So the Fenty Pro Filt'r Primer is a pore filling and smoothing primer. This primer does have a pink tint to it, and its sole purpose is to brighten your skin and to also give you a more even complexion. This primer will create a really nice base for your foundation to go over. The thing about this primer is that I feel like if you don't wear the Fenty Pro Filt'r Primer with the foundation, you're going to find yourself needing to use more of your Fenty foundation. I have done tests on my clients where we applied the primer on one side and we left the other side with no primer, and then we did their foundation color on their whole face, and every single time the side with the primer was slightly or quite a bit more pigmented than the side without the primer. So that is a really big point that I wanted to make in this video, especially if you have a Fenty foundation. This is an oil-free primer, and another functionality of it is that it helps to absorb the oil, so it keeps you matte throughout the day without making you feel dry. Even though it's a mattifying primer, it's still going to do a really good job at keeping your skin hydrated. Also, for girls or boys who are more normal to dry skin and want to wear the Fenty Pro Filt'r foundation, but they're not combo oily, I always suggest for them to get the primer to make the Fenty foundation work for them, just because the Fenty foundation is a soft matte finish. Therefore, there's a pretty high chance that it can make a normal to dry skin person look a little bit more on the dry side as opposed to radiant. The Fenty Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Primer retails for $32, and you do get 1.08 ounces. Next, I'm going to be talking about the Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer, and this is the light formula. The biggest difference between this formula and the other formula is that it's going to be water-based. Therefore, it's not going to feel silicone-y whatsoever. I'm just going to read a little bit from my notes here because I want to get a little bit more detailed. This says that this foundation primer has an antioxidant blend of vitamin C and peptides to protect the skin from environmental pollutants, damage, and stress. Because this is a water-based face primer, it's going to feel very lightweight in texture, so it's just going to glide on. It's going to feel like a very lightweight moisturizer, but eventually as you start to work it in, it does transform into this silky texture. And another really big deal about this face primer is that it is one of the few primers in Sephora that helps to control oil, which is a really, really big deal. It'll actually absorb the oil from your face and just kind of hold it in that layer between your face and your makeup. The Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer in the light texture retails for $36 for 1 ounce. So next, I'm going to be talking about primers that I do have in my collection, and I am going to start with the Porefessionals. And the reason why I'm going to talk about these two at one time is because they do pretty much the exact same thing, except the new Porefessional Pearl Primer is going to have more of a brightening effect, and it will have a little bit more of a pink hue, which again enhances brightening. These primers are both oil-free, and they both feel really nice and silky, velvety, and I do find them to be more on the lightweight side, so they're not going to feel like those heavy silicone foundation primers. So these are just going to have more of a smooth texture, almost like moussey. And I do have to say that I really, really like the smell of the Porefessional primer. It just smells so floral and clean, and I thoroughly enjoy applying this on my face in the morning when I'm doing my makeup, so I just think that's a nice little perk. Both of these primers have vitamin E, which is going to protect you against outside pollution. And the great thing about these is that all skin types can wear it, whether that be combination, oily skin. These are so lightweight and hydrating that even a dry skin person like myself can totally use this on the centers of my face where I have more pores, and it'll do a great job at filling in those pores and holding on to my foundation. So I like it very much. I like to use this on my medium coverage days. The Benefit Porefessionals are $31 for 0.75 ounces. Next, I'm going to be talking about the Makeup Forever Smoothing Primer. Now, this is my absolute favorite pore filling smoothing primer. Even though I'm dry skin, I still find myself needing a pore filling smoothing primer, and this is my favorite, especially on my full coverage foundation days. Like, this is what I go to make sure that these pores on both sides of my face and on my chin are filled and flat and ready for makeup application. So that being said, this is a great face primer for all skin types, especially for more combo to normal skin. A dry skin person can still wear this. It's not going to dry you out in any way. But if you're more oily, then you would probably be better off using the Makeup Forever Mattifying Face Primer, which will be very effective in controlling the excess shine. I do want to note that this is the mini size. The full size, it's about that big, so you get quite a bit more for the full size. So the Makeup Forever Smoothing Primer also has a peachy nude type of color, so this is going to be great to even out the complexion, whether you are a more fair skin tone or medium or even a deep skin tone. It's just going to blend into your complexion no matter what color you are. The full size of this primer will run you $37 for 1 ounce, but I do have to say that this is a special primer. And I say special because unlike the other primers I have here, it will work to improve the look of your skin while you wear it, which is a really big deal. We kind of venture into the skincare realm. This primer will hydrate your skin, smooth your skin, and firm your skin. So while you wear it, it's actually going to help with your skin's elasticity and with cell renewal. And the reason for that is because it has this equalizer technology in it, which is in every single one of the Makeup Forever primers. And I did look into the ingredients of this equalizer technology, and I do have to say, with the ingredients that are in these primers, I do feel like it does what the primer claims it does. So if you're out on the market looking for a smoothing primer that is going to be nice and hydrating and that's going to give you some skincare perks, this would be an excellent choice to go with. I highly recommend it, and it'll last you forever because the smallest amount goes a long ways, and it will help your foundation last longer throughout the day. Again, it's just one of my favorites. I really like it. So next, we're going to talk about the Becca Velvet Blurring Primer, and this one is a very unique primer. What's interesting about this primer is that it goes from a liquid and it turns into a powdery finish, but in a good way. This is what it looks like. So it has sort of this peach tone. The apricot color is meant to correct any uneven skin tone, and it's also going to help with illuminating the face. So what you can see here, if you can ignore the fact that my hand is looking so ghostly in comparison to my foundation color, is that it does have a really pretty brightening effect. It does catch that light very nicely. So it's going to be great at filling in the pores and fine lines, and it's also going to reflect the light. This formula actually has this very interesting thing in it. It has these soft focus powders in the actual formula, which are going to sit on top of your face while you wear it. So that just means it's going to diffuse the light when it hits your face. So you're pretty much getting a filter in a bottle. This primer actually has an ingredient that helps keep your skin hydrated, and it also has vitamin C and E, which will protect you against outside pollution. And it also has those soft focus blurring powders, which are going to absorb all of the excess oil and keep you nice and matte throughout the day. This is $38 for 1 ounce, but I do want to add that this is one of the most lightweight, non-water-based primers that we have in the store, so it's going to be even lighter in texture than the Fenty primer. And lastly, we're going to talk about the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer, and this is another smoothing pore filling primer, but there are some slight differences. I do want to start off with what this primer has in common with the rest of the primers, and I do have to say that it also has a pink tint for brightening and illuminating the face, as well as light diffusing technology. So again, this primer will also give you that soft focused effect or a filter look. Something that's different about this primer is that it goes on, it's pretty thick, like she's a thick girl. This is for sure a more thick formula in comparison to the other smoothing primers that we've been talking about, but I think it's going to do a great job at holding on to that full coverage foundation because of the thickness. It's going to create a perfect layer between your face and say your full coverage foundation. So I think this would be a great primer for a night out. Say you want to get full glam and you know you're about to pack on a ton of product. This is going to do a great job at protecting your skin from all that makeup and preventing it from going into your pores. I do want to read a little bit from my notes because I found a very interesting paragraph. It says that this cushiony formula contains optical blurring pigments for beautifully perfected skin. A luxurious blend of argan, rosehip, and meadowfoam seed oils provides moisturizing and antioxidant benefits while vitamin E conditions. So what does set this primer apart is that it's going to be one of the most hydrating primers that we've been talking about. It has the most hydrating ingredients, 4 to be exact, but it's very important to note that this primer won't actively control or absorb any excess oil, so it wouldn't be the best for a more oily skin person. It would be better for a more combination to normal skin type of person that wants that smoothing blurred effect but still wants their skin to stay nice and hydrated. The Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer goes for $34 for 1 ounce. So if you found all of these primers very intriguing and you can't decide on which one to go for, then I would say you just have to go into a store and do the TT, and that just stands for the touch test. When I'm introducing my clients to a good primer and they can't seem to decide on any one primer because they feel like they like all of them, I simply just do like a couple of pumps on their hands, and then I'm just like touch them, smell them, and that pretty much becomes the deal breaker. And then they know what texture they like, what fragrance they do or don't like. But all of the primers that we spoke of today are great primers, and you can't really go wrong with picking any one of these primers because they are all highly rated by our clients. Our clients have tried these primers and love them. And that does it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, definitely make sure to leave me a like, and if you found value in this video, make sure to also share it with a friend. I will be continuing to upload the rest of the episodes in these coming weeks, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on all the fun. And again, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. I'll see you on my next video.